would like to know about the first time you fell in love. Like, how did you know you was in love, and like, how did you feel about it when you was in love?
So I was single for a long time, 5 years to be precise, and I've never been one to hop from one relationship to the next.
Yeah.
So I certainly know that 2 girlfriends ago, I definitely know that I wasn't in love. I know it.
Yeah. So
I know I wasn't in love.
Yeah.
I loved her.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was a young situation, so it wasn't really. Anyway, so after being single for 5 years, I remember like I was on my Facebook, and there was this young lady who I had known for a long time, many years or whatever, and I just noticed her like here and there. Like I really liked how she was moving and how she was carrying on, but what happened was she reached out to me because she wanted me to work with her on a project.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we just got to talking, and the more I got to know her, the more I was like, there's something about this woman, like it's mad, like it's different. And I certainly had never felt like that about anybody ever before.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was actually in the Philippines, and I reached out to her. I don't know, I was on holiday and it cleared my head.
Yeah.
And then on a couple of days before I came back, I was just calling her and I was like, let's go for a walk on Monday. So she's like, okay. And then that day I just basically told her what it was. And I knew I was in love because I would never use such strong words and make bold statements. I literally made her my girlfriend like that. Okay. I was just like, I know. And how I know I was in love is because when it was over, I was broke up. Like it was not fun. You know, I was like, okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
You still love her now?
I have love for her.
Okay.
I'm not in love with her.
Okay.
This is why I thank God I'm a man, because we can move on so quick. Because my God, the pain of that emotion is deep. Like, and the thing is, the way that it ended as well, it wasn't necessarily. It put it to you this way, it didn't need to be over. Yeah. In my opinion, but when it was, I believe in a higher voice. So don't go back and forth. Yeah. So. Do you know what I'm saying? Playing cat and mouse when there's no need for it. So it's all good. All love and respect to the young lady, but yeah, still got love for her. She's a wonderful human being. That doesn't change. But I'm not in love with her no more. What about you?
So I think the first time I knew fell in love is probably right now with my girlfriend, partner, and essentially I think she was a girl that, like, similar story that you said, like, well, he wasn't, like, this is my second relationship ever. Like, I'm not a relationship guy. I've always been about work and stuff, but she's a girl that basically, like, it's funny because I don't remember about her in secondary school, but people are like, yeah, in secondary school you used to try to move to her and that. Yeah. Or try to ask about her. And then I think we started talking again in like 2013, and like I was telling her ideas about like all the stuff I'm going to try to do, and then we connected like years later, and it was like, yeah, all the stuff I'm trying to do, I'm doing it. And she was like on her own journey trying to find herself. And so for me, it was like a thing of like, yeah, I just pitched, yo, let's do this thing and we can grow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really the romantic done. My game is more the whole life coach, uncle type stuff, innit? And so
we know this.
And then I was like, yeah, like I brought her home to my grandma, my granddad. Yo, I was like, yeah, they love her off and stuff like that.
Oh, no, I don't have doubt that they would love her, but Jessel, you took her there.
Yeah, I took her there. Yeah. Yeah. Like it was that's like, you know, like having those bold statements in relationships. It was like a thing like, yo, I was not trying to do this thing for like a little 2 years or 1 year.
This ain't no lash and dash.
Yeah, it's proper. Like I'm trying to be serious and stuff. So in my head, I just rationalized it as like, you meet the parents, you meet the grandparents, whatever, and then it's like, okay, serious now. And then my grandparents took a love into her, and that kind of helped as well. And then like we just, that whole growth thing, I think for me, like I used to have this term like, I'm going to sign up. So signing up is basically the term that I've heard many times or seen on Twitter, it's like, I'm ready to risk it all. So essentially it's just more like, yeah, ready to risk it all. For her, like, and how do I feel about it? Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's giving me stability in thinking that I don't have to worry about that part of my life. Like I don't have to worry and be like, oh damn, who's gonna marry or all of that type of stuff, because you've already got someone there who like essentially is there. So that part is like, in my head, my thought process is like, that part's kind of, it's covered. So I just feel like, yeah, she's here in my life. I can just focus on building and getting myself to that desired place, you know what I'm saying? And I think there's a thing that I do, which a couple of my friends and that do, and there's a thing of like, every time a girl used to come to her life, we used to pray about it.
Okay.
I used to be like, yo, God, I'm not gonna lie, this girl, she's proper decent and that, but if she's not of you, let her go. And that prayer times, obviously I believe in God, innit? So for me, it was a thing of like, you bang that prayer and then girls would disappear and that. She didn't go. I pammed that prayer a couple of times. Like I said that prayer a couple of times. Like, right, she's not going in that. Like,
I did that about relationships in general. Just about all the people around me. I said, God, like, sever. And I use that word because it's like, to me, that's like the cleanest, sharpest, most precise cut you can have. Sever every relationship that is not of you.
I get it.
Boy, did he sever some stuff. My gosh.
So there's like many things for me. I think it was like loads of signs and like things that just made me like, I was ready to risk it all and that. And obviously I had to let her know that I'm serious about life and stuff. So if you're gonna be in my life as well, you gotta be serious.
You better be serious, you better handle your business.
But yeah, that was me.
Can you tell me about the last time you cried and what about?
Last time I cried, I think I can remember a time I've cried, which was recent or a time, but I can't. I think the last time I cried was probably at Christmas dinner. So for the last 5 years, I've been working for myself, running a creative technology studio, and we work with like a lot of like big brands and small technology companies. And I think we're sitting at a dinner and was kind of talking about like the story about like even today, just literally moved to like a office space in Shoreditch. And like where we started from like a tight bedroom like South London and like seeing it like
congratulations,
manifest.
man.
Thank you, bro, man. And seeing it manifest and like, and I just started crying. Like I was crying, like, and for me, if you know me, I'm a banter man. I just do hard honcho and that. Man, don't really cry like that. And so even for people watching, they're thinking, "Right, what going on with my man? Why is he crying and that?" And I'm like, the pain. Like it was just like I feel like it's helpful though. Like I feel like sometimes you don't really know what you're going through until you speak about it. Then it makes sense and then that type of stuff. So that's like the last time I've cried, but I don't remember me crying since then. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? When was the last time you cried?
I can't pinpoint exactly because I have like little spells of tears. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's drizzling outside. It's like fake rain.
Yeah, I get that.
But the thing is, I have quite a lot of moments when I get emotional and tearful. Yeah. And so, for example, last week, I was hosting a brunch for a group of men. Yeah. And then like this lady, God bless her, she's like a sister to me. I've known her for many years. And she just came to me and she goes, I want to sponsor one of your brunches. And, when you call groups of men 10 at a time to come together and sit down and eat, it costs money. You've got to live, you've got to travel, you've got to pay your rent, you've got to buy your clothes, you've got to make sure that you've got your trim. You can't be looking like sheg on the street. Do you know what I'm saying? So it gets expensive. Yeah. And then so when someone just comes randomly, didn't ask nothing, just says, I want to sponsor it. Yeah. And then you tell them an amount and then they triple it. So I'm standing there looking at my bank balance like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? And I didn't cry because we were at a social event in front of people. She literally came to me like I was having drinks and I was talking to like other people and stuff. And she just came around and she goes like, oh, when is your next such and such, whatever. And so that happened. But I cry frequently, I'd like to say. I think if we count that as crying, I cry frequently. I cry when I'm happy. Sometimes I cry when I just think about how amazing the people around me are. I feel really privileged like to live the life that I live. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel privileged to have the core on my life that I have. Yeah, I'm saying. Like it's not like my life is not normal and I accept that. And the fact that I could have been born as anyone. But I came as me. Yeah, like wow, that's big for me.
I think emotion is being emotional. I think being in touch with your emotions make you see the world better. Ooh, this is a good one, fam. What does be a man mean to you, and how does it compare with society's definition?
To me, be a man means be honest with yourself first. I do this thing where I confront myself. That's the term I use. I confront myself. So before someone out there can ask me an ugly question or a question that I deem to be ugly or something that I might deem to be embarrassing and humiliating, I ask myself first, Cass, are you greedy? Cass, are you lying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
To yourself, Cass, do you really have integrity like that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
If someone trusted you with XYZ, would you really deliver? Are you going to be honest with yourself about what you're capable of doing, your capacity? Are you going to enter into a relationship when you know that you have no business being in one, when you're trying to just like sling it around and do your thing? Like, do you know what I mean? So I confront myself. And for me, that is the definition of be a man. Like, be honest with yourself. And how does it compare with the definition of the rest of the world? The definition of be a man in terms of the rest of the world is a crock of crap. It's bollocks. It's utter shit. Simply because the imagery, the glitz, right? These times, those same men who dress nice or have that hard talk and all this kind of stuff, they're the same man that when the sun goes down, they're calling my phone saying, Cass, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Right? And they're not being honest with themselves. And obviously I'm not gonna turn around and say like, bruv, you're not a man, because you're not being honest with yourself. You're putting on this mask and you're putting on this outfit, this facade every single day to go out of your house to advertise this falsehood. Right? And I can't blame them, because obviously this is something that is being perpetuated and being pushed. For me growing up, I was made to believe that how I am and how I carry myself is not manly enough. But then I'm sorry, bruv, I'm honest with myself. If I asked you, how was your heart today? Can you even answer me that? If I asked you, brother, how is your heart? Can you answer me that? Okay, I can answer you that. I can tell you how my heart is doing. I can tell you if I'm feeling not okay up here. I can tell you that, you know what, I'm going to cancel today's meeting because my mind is not in the right place. And if I leave this house today, I'm going to spend most of my time thinking about how I'm going to keep it together instead of stay together, be in the house, be chill, be honest with yourself, and know that today you're not going to deliver. The world doesn't tell you that. The world says be a man, no days off, team, no sleep. I like my slumber. I like my rest. I like my emotional side. And I like my truth of being a man. I'll be real with myself, and therefore if someone asks me anything about anything else, I'll be real with them about that too.
That's I think for me, like, being a man, so I think it's the key thing about, like you said, true to yourself. And I think, like, I can't remember, like, I think I was once asked a question, if I was to go back into secondary school, what would I do? And I'd say, the first thing I would say is that it's okay to be different. And I feel like you said, there are discourse. Like, there's this, like, now you've got like a visual discourse of masculinity being flowers and hair. That's a carefree. I'm not gonna lie, I'm carefree, fam. I don't give a damn about anything, but I'm allergic to flowers. I'm carefree and I don't give a damn. Like, I remember in secondary school, like, I think, like, I've always been like always been interested in other stuff, but you go into secondary school is probably one of the most volatile environments to be in, because
I hated it.
Like, at stuff like that, you get told your mum. Back then, you tell your mum now, like, fam, I don't even care, but your mum there, like, I'm gonna do something to couple, man. And like, growing up and coming from Peckham, like, it was like loads of things that I just got myself caught up to, and I was thinking, rah, I don't even like doing half of this stuff. Like, I'm about anime. I do like. I'm about quirkiness. Like, I was just being different. And I feel like I agree with you. Like, being a man is about being your true self, owning your difference and stepping in that difference. I think it's easier now because maybe, like, I live life with my own autonomy. You know, I've always been self-articulated, so I've never really validated myself from other people. I don't really stick to people's validations. I kind of stick to my own and whatever God's got for me. And I feel like when you live life, just being you, bruv, it's freeing.
It's fantastic.
So freeing. And I just encourage everybody to, like, it's okay to be different. You know, it's all right. Be yourself. Like, it will pay off in the end. And so I think my focus is about being a real man. Being real. Like, that's the most important thing, is being your true self, and then you know yourself. I think knowing yourself is so important. And I feel like, obviously, women focus more about working on themselves. You see a lot of the women empowerment stuff, which is great. And I feel like with men, we're probably never told that, hey, bro, you need to work on yourself type stuff. Because in my theory, I would say that women need more masculine elements, and men need a bit more feminine elements. So having the balance of being in touch with their emotions, understanding their emotions, women need to be a bit more assertive, they need to be a bit more, have a bit more like action. Because even my own girlfriend, I'm very like, yo, my G, don't let no one talk over you, bro. Assertive, bro. You need to be strong, you know. He's like, I'm like, be strong, because especially being a black woman in this day and age, it's hard, isn't it? So, but I feel like finding that balance of just being your true you, being your unique self, being your quirky self, and living life your way, living life for you, because all these people that put all these discourses and all these standards to follow, they go home at night and live their life, and you're trying to live your life to meet somebody's goal, because Twitter said, if you don't have Balenciagas, you're not cool. I'm not gonna lie, fam. I'm a Doc Martin connoisseur. I got beats and that. I mean, when Doc Martens, that's my thing. But
this is the thing, though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like I said, like if I ask certain guys, like, how's your heart? Yeah. First of all, it's a strange question to ask. My circle asks me. I ask my circle, how is your heart? How is your mind? Okay. So the reason why there's that kind of like moment is because everyone is so busy focusing on the image that they believe is acceptable and is what people want and to see. But who did you look up to as examples of being a man growing up?
So I think the person I look up to is my granddad. Literally, so he's a minister, and he set up a church, big church in Nigeria, and they literally recently just built a house for him, and I had to write like a biography on him, and I started thinking, my man speak, and he's just a calm, collected, quiet character, but my grandma talked so highly of him, highly and stuff like that. And I think for me, being around that's probably kind of helped me a lot, in terms of my direction, or looking at how the stories that my grandma would say, and stuff like how my grandfather taught a lot of stuff. My grandfather never let me suffer. My grandfather did this. My grandfather did that. And I was thinking, this guy here, cool saying, is it? I need to follow your steps.
Top G.
Real G. And essentially it was I feel like that shapes a lot of my thinking in life, especially relationships, having a partner, being about growth. And I've been my grandparents have been married for 48 years, and I'm trying to do longer than them. And I think that's the first example I've ever seen, or the only example I've ever seen of being a man. And actually then meeting people even Cass. When I met Cass, I was thinking, Cass is open. You can, I feel you're still, sometimes in life, you try to meet different guys, you try to probe conversations with them, it's very hard. And I feel when you meet someone like Cass, who's got his personality and is very open, sometimes people are are you sure? This guy's a bit too open, fam. But when you realize and you sit down, you just talk. Even Lord Hastings, shout out Lord Hastings, Michael Hastings, really top G, real G, loving, kind and man who opened up his hand to a lot of young black men and guides them on how to be real men. And even someone Lord Hastings, because of how he is, people might question him and think, what's his intentions? But it's just being honest and true with yourself. And I feel that's people like that, I just think, I don't care about what you do, I just want to know you and learn from you in terms of how I can also better myself.
Well, thank you for that. That's much appreciated, man. I for me, it's a mixture of different men. So my dad, first of all, my dad is the guy who was always able to make something out of nothing. So my dad, he was he was a herd boy, back in the 1940s. My daddy, my dad's gonna be 75 this year. My dad was a herdsman, right? When he was a kid, he did that, earned money so he can send all his siblings to school. He's the 5th of 12 children. He sent everybody, older and younger, to school. They went to school because of him. And then he went to school, educated himself. My dad became a lawyer. My dad, and he studied at London School of Economics. So My dad went from being a herdsman to hitchhiking through Zimbabwe, through South Africa, got on a plane, went to London School of Economics, got his degree, got a job, like really built himself up from literally being a herd boy. He bought his parents their first home. They never owned a home before he bought them one. He bought my mother a house, and then he bought my mother another house. And it's not about the material things, but it's the fact that this man came from a place where there was nothing, and so he had to use his skills. He had to literally look at his hands and his feet and say, what do I do with these? And his mind, my father's mind is a brilliant mind, and he really knows how to do things that a lot of people would be like, huh? And also as well, just hearing how people talked about my dad over the years and how he's changed so many people's lives. And then like where my dad is flawed, other men have compensated for that. So again, Lord Hastings, like, he's got this huge heart. When you speak to him, and you can attest to this, you speak to the guy and he's like, he'll ask you about a detailed story you told him 3 months ago, and he'll be like, so how far with that? And then this and this, and then you said that this person did this, and so how did you resolve that? And did you speak about it? And have you prayed? And have you focused on this? And have you thought, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's wonderful. My pastor, he played a huge part in my life at a very important time, like sort of between 17 and 24. I was very fragile during times. You're becoming that. This is like when you're going over the threshold.
Yeah.
So I was very fragile, and my pastor was there to really play a decent role, and he helped me to figure things out. He didn't like just get like a net and scoop me and be like, oh yes, I've saved you. But he helped me to use my mind, and he helped me to kind of keep a stable mind. And also he was very affectionate with me as well, which I really appreciate. Because I'm not gonna lie, man, my dad at the time had gone, like he had left us in it. So as much as I respect my dad and all that kind of stuff, like there are some shortcomings, and some of those shortcomings meant that I felt like I was lacking something because he wasn't around. And for all the fellas out there, don't lie to yourself and be like, I don't need my dad. Every young man needs his father, because what happened? 2013, just after I wrote my first book, I spent 2 weeks back home in Zimbabwe, and out of those 2 weeks I spent 45 minutes with my father, and in that 45 minutes I told him the name of my book, right? And he goes to me, that's a strong title. Do you know how gassed I was on the plane back to London? Do you know? That's what he said. It's like, that's a strong title. He left me at 14. He said a bunch of stuff that I wish he didn't say, and that he did a bunch of things I wish he didn't do, but he just said to me, your book title is strong. I felt like, yes, that's all the approval I need. And so, for all the gentlemen who stood in the gap, there are quite a few to mention, but my pastor and Lord Hastings are definitely two people who I can say, like, I look up to them, and they've done a wonderful job, and I appreciate them forever and ever for what they've done.
I agree on that. The dynamics you talked about, especially about the one about not having your dad there, and that, because my grandfather and I, it's like what, 50-year age difference or something like that. So what his life was at 50, and what this life now is different. So, and he had a stroke when I was in year 6 going to year 7, and so I think one of the questions commented this a bit more and explain further then, but. So when he had that stroke, it was like a disconnect for me. It's like, damn. So didn't really have that sort of father figure. I think personally for me, I think I've always had to be my own father figure. I think it's only now I'm learning to even be a bit more open about stuff.
And being open to be fathered a little bit and to be guided a little bit.
I'm still learning on that one.
Oh, I know that.
Still learning on that one, but yeah. So yeah, like speaking about, because we talked about you were talking about your dad as well. So I think the question says is, can you talk about your family dynamic growing up, and also what does your ideal family structure look like in the future?
Okay. So from 0 to 8, I lived in Wonderland. From 0 to 8, my mom and dad together. Like, my dad would be on the way out the door, and they'll do the, and like they'll eat breakfast together. My dad would do my tie at, while he's having breakfast. Like me and my brother would come into the dining room, and like we'll interrupt. and he'll do our ties, and like my mom will be sat at his side, and it was bliss, like the most amazing thing you ever saw. And then I remember it was like a plane crash, a volcano, a tsunami, an earthquake, and a hurricane all at the same time. Oh my God. It was mad because I found out that my family was not what I believed it was. So yes, financially things were wonderful. In terms of like social standing, wonderful. Both, my mom comes from really great family and all that kind of stuff. My dad's a hard worker and he achieved great things. And then you start to discover the human in your parents. You start to discover the dishonest part, the unfaithful part. You start to discover where there's, a little bit of underhanded this and backstreet that, family members, extended family members who are just doing the most, talking the most. People, you discover envy. That happened. And unfortunately for me, like my family was in the public eye. So all of any kind of indiscretions that were surrounding my family were in the papers. And I'd be walking to school and these people, this is Africa, they don't care. They'll be like, they're like, you're so-and-so's son, innit? These times you're 8 years old. And not only do you have to like deal with this crumbling in your house, but you're dealing with it on your walk to school. The teachers are looking at you like, look at the son of the son, So it was just mad. And then by age 10, my mom was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I'm going to go to England. And that's actually how we came here. My mom bought herself a ticket because she just felt like I need to do something for myself. And I really stand by the actions that she took, even though it was very painful. I cried for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, and we protested to my dad. We wouldn't eat. There's a lot of stuff we wouldn't do. Me and my younger brother and my sister, we just protested till my dad picked us all up and flew us. Literally 2 weeks to the day of my mom arriving, we were in England because we were like, you did this, so we're not living like this. And ever since then, it was back and forth. My mom obviously felt like, like he got on a plane and he brought the kids, so it must be a little something different, but it wasn't that different. And by the way, like for all of you out there, African and Caribbean men, even if you're second generation or whatever, don't be ashamed of these stories because we are not our fathers. We don't have to be in it. You don't have to disrespect them either, but we're not our fathers. So I'm speaking about this openly. My dad would rather I didn't, but boy, you lived your life and I lived mine. So, no, real talks, man. Like what? So, came to England, and then things just started getting even more shaky. Didn't work out. My family and I, my mom, older brother, older sister, younger brother, the 5 of us, we stayed in Deptford in a 1-bedroom apartment for over a year, just in the name of getting away from a toxic situation. Things just transformed in a way that I could have never imagined because, 2-3 short years prior to that, it was bliss. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. I had a horse, Alex. I had a farm, like, that we could go to the weekend, and, we had like dogs, and there were freaking geese in our pond. Like, it was like picture perfect, but that's the problem. It was picture perfect.
Yeah, same.
And going back to like being the real man thing, there was a lot of dishonesty, I feel, with self in terms of like, in the parental department. So when it crashed down, it was horrible. It was tragic. And when we thought things were going to be okay, about 14 was when my dad fully was like, I'm out, and the way he was like, I'm out, it was so surprising as well, like literally no warning. And I found that at 14 I had to give up being a boy and start being a man and start figuring life out. So my ideal family dynamic, and please believe, even though my mom and dad's marriage didn't work out the way that anyone would have wanted it to, in terms of like it going well, not once was I ever discouraged about marriage or relationships. Even with the relationships of mine that haven't worked out, I've never ever been discouraged because I believe that when there are two people involved who love themselves first and appreciate who God made them to be, and you come to the table and you say, this is what I'm willing to share, this is what I have to offer, let's do this thing. I believe that it can work. I believe that when you can understand that you're two different people, you don't come from the same place, you may not have been raised the same way, and you're going to have to exercise that understanding. I really do believe that it can work.
Yeah.
That your grandparents have been married for 48 years. That for me is a testament. I've never looked at another friend's parents' marriage and thought, oh, I wish my parents' marriage was like that. Bruv, like my parents' marriage was my parents' marriage, and what happened, and it's all good, and it was very painful, it was very hurtful, it was a shock to the system. I feel like some of the things that happened to my family, it's the stuff that movies are made of. But I've never lost hope. I want to get married. I want to have my kids. I want us to live together, and I don't want that to change. And it's not based on no fairy tale. I don't believe in perfection. Perfection is mundane anyway.
Yeah.
And right, I dream of living with a woman who helps me to transform into being the man that I dream of becoming. But then I'm already on that path in it. So it's just a matter of finding a person who possesses the adequate components. And it's not about pressuring people to be that when they're not.
Yeah.
Just know if it's not the one. It's not the one. It's not the one. Like, it's cool. Like, it's just keep it moving.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That was deep still. But for me, my family dynamic is that I grew up in care.
Okay.
So I've grown up in care for like from young. Like I've been in and out of different homes until like I was like 18.
Okay.
So growing up, I was like, I've even done a year in Nigeria. That's how bad it is. Like this primary school. Like my grandparents were like, no, we're taking him to Nigeria, and obviously it wasn't there wasn't meant to do that. So I've had to come back. And I think for me, it's why I've been very independent from then. And I think my independence became so bad that I don't depend on anyone.
That can be dangerous.
And I don't depend on anyone now. And I'm trying to. Like, with me being open, truth, I'm trying to. And I think, like, it was deep. Like, I remember secondary school. Like, I was talking about this with someone the other day, and I remember secondary school. I was like, bruv, I was really depressed. I was really, really depressed because, like, and obviously then the whole concept of depression, like, not understanding, I didn't understand this existed. I just thought, yeah, I'm being an angry child but I was being angry because, like, not having people there that actually give a damn about you. You feel like, I felt like, okay, cool, I'm taller than anyone. Like, if anybody violates me, I'm just going to react in anger. And I think the anger was actually more focused on my insecurities. I was just scared. So I thought, if I'm tall and I'm angry, people will back off. That's what happened. People did back off in that. But now I know that wasn't the right way for me. And I kind of yearned and wished that I had parents to like run to, like speak to, and like be like this and be like that. And I thought, Bandis, I can't wait until I'm 16. Because like I was living in Kent. So I used to live in Kent and go Crystal Palace to school. Like this like year 10, year 11. Because like my youth worker was like, yeah, you're getting in a bit of trouble, but you're good with grades. Let's move you out. And I was like, I'm still getting Kingsdale because I really loved my school. Like the whole concept of making new friends scared me. Like because my friends and most of my friends now are like, they're like that's family. That's the only family I have. That whole concept of moving actually scared me. I thought, Bandits, I'm not moving nowhere. And like, I remember times where I was lying, like, because I didn't want to go home. Like, I didn't want to go home. I'd lie, like, there's a story that I always say, like, I had a school football match and it was in Kent. And I lied and said it was in South London. So I could sleep in my grandparents' house.
Wow.
Like, I've done some mad stuff I've done. But it was just more like, I just wanted stability. Like, really wanted stability. And so I just thought to myself, when I'm 16, like, obviously, in my head, you're like, 16, you have more freedom. 16, you can do this. So 16, I've moved out, living like this. And then now, when I got to 18, I basically asked my grandparents, like, yo, I need a place to stay. Can I stay in your house? And my grandparents were like, yeah, that's the first time I had my own bed. First time I even had a key to a yard. First time that I had loads of stuff. But I've always been independent. So I've always had my own everything. But if you think about it, you're an 18-year-old guy, you had everything. How you get, what means are you doing to get certain stuff? Like, that was that. Like, even to now, like, the whole concept of working for someone, I've never had a job. Like, the whole concept that actually, who the fuck is going to talk over me? You must be fucking mad. Like, like, it's true. Like, I don't exactly know. Like, so that's why I've always worked for myself.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm happy that, you know, we've been, like, God's managed to bust us. Like, we've had some good work and that, like, but the whole concept of, like, dependent on people is nuts. Like, I think like, my two co-founders, Akil and Richard, those are probably the two persons that, and that's because essentially our whole goal was like, yeah, we're building this thing together. Like, I have to depend on you because that's your role, that's my role. I know what I'm good at. I'm not good at that. Right, cool. Lex, you focus on the creating part. Kill, yeah, you focus on the project management, getting the clients in, that type of stuff. But even in, like, my relationship, there's been times when I've said to my girlfriend, like, yeah, like, I think when she asked me a question once, like, I think she was in, like, this kind of place. She's gonna hate me for this as well, like, but she's like, would you take advantage of me? And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, in my head, I think I replied that, what the fuck do you have for me to take advantage of? Like, that was like my reply. Like, I know it's nuts, but in my head, I was thinking, like, I don't, like, what the fuck's that? Because that whole concept to me is nuts. But, like, bruv, like, yeah, I don't depend on no one. Like, it's nuts. Like, I've said to her, like, I depend on you for your companionship. Like, don't worry about trying to be anything. Like, I don't need that. Like, I've always been really resourceful. Like, really resourceful. I think that's what kind of made girls like me as well, was I was just resourceful. Like, it was a thing of, like, it's one of the, like, maybe they've spoken to a lot of guys that were, like, stuck in a corner. I don't really know where I want to be. And my focus is more, it's like, fam, this is what I'm doing right now. This is my plan. Like, that's me. I'm meticulous with time. I'm meticulous with everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, I've struggled. Like, this is probably the first time I've really spoken about it to people, but I've struggled hard. I think that's why even the whole concept of family doesn't even make sense to me. Like, I'm very distant from my own. I think my whole thing is more, I just add money to stuff. So it's peas. I feel like, family structure, I feel like, I think it's something I heavily invest in my children. Like, heavily take time to care, like, to listen to everything, to know everything, like, to be aware of everything in their life. And I feel like the key thing is that parenting is a skill in itself. Like I feel like parents need parent training. Like, I feel like once you're a parent, the government should send you a letter like, yeah, it's time for parenting skills, because, like, it's a skill. Like, they are shit parents. No offense, they are good parents and they're shit ones. And I think for me, learning from the things that I kind of missed out on was probably, I think, family structure was to, I think me and my girlfriend have spoken about this a lot, but it's to take a vested interest in your children's life. Like, vested, like, literally sit there. How was your day? And that's what my granddad used to do to me growing up. Like, he'd take me out and say, how's your day? How was this? Those are helpful. He still does it now. I come, like, all my work, like, everything, because, like I said, he's 50 years different. He's not really using, like, stuff that I'm working on. But I come with, like, a PDF document and I'm like, hey, granddad, here's this. This is what I just worked on. Or this is what I'm working on. That's how our conversations is now. That gives me the excitement. I go, like, yeah, granddad, I've done this, you know, blah, blah, blah. Even, like, for my master's degree and that, like, all my, like, academic papers, because he's an academic, so I think I was like, yeah. And that's how we would talk and, like, he would like write stuff down and be like, okay, what does this mean? And then I'll explain to him. Like, especially working on tech and, like, all the different things, is like, okay, what is, I don't know this. And then that's how we kind of grew that sort of intellectual relationship. But that helps. That feeling does help. So yeah, I think it's,
I'm next in it.
Yes.
Cool. Alright. What was the most difficult period of your life and how did you get through it?
I think I said.